A pleasant morning to all of you. Welcome to your program Agenda. I'm your host, Cito Beltran, greeting you. Good morning here on Cignal TV 1 News. And thank you for watching us and for being Cignal TV subscribers. Maraming salamat po to all of you who also try to catch us abroad via Facebook and YouTube. And of course, those of you who like to catch us on a later time after program. Okay, today is April 10, 2023. It's a Monday, a brand new week, and it is starting to be a bit overcast or cloudy. There was already a slight drizzle here in Barrio Capitolio, Pasig, where I have my home studio, and I do hope that it will be a cooler day for all of you today, April 10. July 10. Naisip ko birthday ng mga kapamilya. Anyway, today we will have a very interesting discussion. And if you have people who are fresh graduates, who are just applying for the first time for a job, or who are wondering about opportunities and negotiations at the workplace, well, listen in. Because today we are responding to the inquiry of a young lady who recently graduated and has no idea whether the salary she was offered was a reasonable salary, was it a good starting salary, was it a low ball or a high offer. So we decided to invite someone from the human resource sector to guide us, because quite honestly, salaries nowadays are hard to tell, especially for those who are first-time job seekers. So please stick with us today, and we will try to learn as much as we can from our expert resource person. But before that, let's go to our daily starter. And in a way, it is something that makes a job just as exciting, not just because of the salary. And today's daily starter comes from Alexander Den Heyer. Okay, Heyer. Okay, so Alexander Den Heyer says, You often feel tired, not because you've done too much, but because you've done too little of what sparks a light in you. Okay, that is very interesting when people tell you, pagod na ako, I'm tired, I am sick and tired, I keep doing the same thing, I have no motivation, etc. And this is a very good point to consider. Are you tired because you're doing so much? Are you overburdened? Or is it because you're not doing things that you love and enjoy? Now, let's be clear about this, okay? Doing too much. Let's address doing too much. Many leaders, parents, okay, even teachers, okay, will say that, pagod na ako, lahat ako na lang, etc. Unfortunately, many people out there don't know the art of delegation. Delegation, okay, where you assign certain tasks, you distribute the work to others. Not because you're being lazy, but because you need to focus on what is important while others get the opportunity to train, to learn, and to become better at certain things that you have delegated to them. My wife says I am the master of delegation. Well, that was true for some time. I just delegate. But I've also learned that in delegating, You need to know what is important, what you are good at, and you still need to do what is important and what you're good at. Leave the rest to the others so you don't waste your time and your energy. So, yung ano yan, that is to address the doing too much. Now, the other part, doing what gives you a spark or what you enjoy. A job is a job. If you find a job that you enjoy, that is meaningful, that gives you reason to get up, well, congratulations. You didn't find the job, you found your calling. But if you are in a job where you have to do something because you're skilled at it, because you are trained for it, but it's not necessarily what you enjoy the most, then no one is stopping you doing things on your free time, doing things that you love. Kumbaga, work-life balance. I always tell the people I train during seminars, that is what hobbies are for. Okay? Hobby doesn't necessarily mean spending money, throwing away time, etc. A hobby is essentially doing something meaningful on the side or on your free time to make you happy. Okay, let's now go to the front page of the Philippine Star. July 10, Monday, and the headline is AFP, Philippine Coast Guard boost patrols versus Chinese in West Philippine Sea. Okay. The Philippine Coast Guard and the Armed Forces of the Philippines will intensify patrols in the Iroquois Reef after 48 Chinese militia vessels were sighted near the area in the West Philippine Sea. Okay. The Coast Guard is planning to boost their presence there because they have determined ito yung style ng mga Chinese militia ships. Kukuyugin, they will swarm a particular place and they will build up their presence until they can take over the property. Yan ang tawag dyan, professional squatters. Okay. At the top of the front page, we have in the header, don't waste rice, order only what you can. When I read this, I thought it was the head of the Nutrition Council or someone, but apparently, here, ito yung don't do what is not your job. National Irrigation Administration or NIA Administrator Eduardo Guillen over the weekend called on the public to stop wasting rice and amid the possible shortage in supply as the El Nino phenomenon threatens the country's palay production. The wastage of food is a big factor. We are appealing that if we cannot consume the entire 1 cup of rice, we should only order half a cup. Okay. Ang problema, ang trabaho ni Administrator Guillen ay irrigation, not nutrition and food security. Well, he's related to our food security campaign, but perhaps it is better that he focus on that and let the Philippine Nutrition Council or someone else do the talking. Pero tama naman po si Administrator Guillen. Marami sa inyo sobrang hindi natakaw. Timawa na sa kanin, okay? You eat more than you really need. Hanggat hindi masakit yung tiyan nyo sa busog, hindi kayo tumitigil. You know, simple choice, yes, pero the more rice you eat, the more you extend your stomach. Kumbaga, parang sawa. Palaki ng palaki yung tiyan hanggang kaya ng kumain ng kalabaw. Okay. At the top part of the front page, we have photos of U.S. Marine Corps CH-53E Super Stallions arriving at the Antonio Bautista Air Base in Puerto Princesa, Palawan, for the Marine Aviation Support Activity. They arrived July 6. Okay. MASA is a bilateral exercise between the Armed Forces of the Philippines and the U.S. Marine Corps. Below that photo of helicopters, pakibalik lang po. Iyon, below that photo or on the in our screen, it's on the right side. You have a photo of the C-17 Globemaster air transport of the U.S. Air Force and the Marines. Galaki. Okay? Transporting container. Ang tinatransport nila, mga container by aircraft. Okay, so yan po, palakas ng palakas ang cooperation down in Palawan. Meanwhile, here in Metro Manila, today at 2 p.m., BBM to meet with hog poultry raisers. Okay. President Bongbong Marcos, who is also the Secretary of the Department of Agriculture, will meet with hog and poultry raisers at 2 p.m. In Malacanang for a face-to-face discussion regarding what the state of hog raisers and poultry raisers are facing. President Marcos will meet with hog and poultry raisers group today as a flooding of imported and smuggled pork and chicken products has been plaguing the local industry. Okay. I strongly suggest that you read today's edition of the Philippine Star because that story about the meeting covers more than the meeting. It is a brief, a quick lesson on the state of chicken and hogs, pork and poultry in the Philippines. Baka dumating daw po ang araw puro imported na at ang nagdidikta ng presyo mga importer at smuggler dahil malapit nang mag-give up yung mga raisers. Baka ang matira na lang yung big corporate farms, okay? Yung mga malalaking brand, pero yung mga backyard that supply 65 to 70% are all about ready to throw in the towel. Okay. Meanwhile, okay, fans of the K-pop group BTS, calling themselves ARMY, gather at SM Masinag in Antipolo City to mark the fandom anniversary yesterday. Congratulations na laang sa inyo. Okay, meanwhile, the Water Resources Management Office, or WRMO, has called on the barangay executives to lead water conservation drive. Okay, pangunahan daw ng mga barangay captain ang pagtitipid ng tubig kung may oras sila sa kanilang busy schedule pangangampanya. Yes, believe it or not, they are already campaigning all over the country. Okay. So yun po, water conservation drive. Now, if there is such a call, evidently we have cause for concern. So kayo po, mga viewers, please, conserve water, don't waste water. Yung mga kotse ninyo, yung kotse ko, nako po, bihira ako ng hugasan yan pag talagang maputik na laang. Okay, House probe of tourism video blunder sought. Okay, the 3-member Makabayan block is seeking an inquiry into the Department of Tourism recent blunder in its Love the Philippines campaign. While the DOT stressed that no public funds have been paid for the video, Congress should investigate the matter if there are lapses in appropriate laws, rules, and regulations, the bloc said. Ayun po, kasi medyo nagkakaamuyan na sa Kongreso na no one is calling for an investigation because katribo nila ang Secretary of Tourism. Yan po ang problema pag ang ating legislative and executive are all part of the same political family. Okay. Quiapo Church declared national shrine. Catholic devotees attend Mass at the National Shrine of the Black Nazarene, popularly known as Quiapo Church in Manila yesterday. It is declared as a national shrine by the Catholic Bishops' Conference over the weekend, if I'm not mistaken. Last but not the least, Degamo slave victims, nako po, ako yung namamalat na. Degamo slave victims assured of justice amid gunmen's retraction. Interior Secretary Benhar Abalos said justice will be served for slain former Negros Oriental Governor Roel Degamo and 9 other victims despite the move of the 10 accused gunmen in the so-called Pamplona massacre to recant their statements. Okay, sana po justice will also be served for the 30 missing sabongeros and driver and family members who disappeared during the Isabong nightmare. Yan po, that's all we have here on the front page of the Philippine Star. Like I suggested earlier, please try to get a copy and read particularly the story concerning the meeting with BBM and the poultry and hog raisers, because the story is full of information and is of serious concern dahil yun po ang patutunguhan ng poultry and hog raising pag nasa kamay na ng mga importer smuggler ang supply at gumib up na ang mga anak ng mga backyard raisers. Okay, let us now go to our guest for today and our selected topic regarding magkano ba dapat ang sweldong asahan ko kung ako ay first-time job seeker, etc., etc. Gabriel Malyari, Executive Producer, please roll out the Betamax.
It's job hunting season once again, as universities and colleges send new batches of graduates to the so-called real world. It can be intimidating for fresh graduates to prepare for job hunting. Luckily for them, the First-Time Job Seekers Assistance Act allows first-time job seekers to avail pre-employment requirements for free. These include birth certificate, barangay clearance, and NBI clearance, among others. Also last May, the Labor Department and 15 other agencies signed the Joint Operational Guidelines that will institutionalize the procedures for the issuance of pre-employment documents. How can first-time job seekers utilize these benefits? And what other reminders should they take note when looking for a job? Let's discuss that on today's agenda.
Connie Barrientos-Carey is the president of the Aleph Talent Solutions, a recruitment firm based in Cebu City. Barrientos-Carey is also a certified HR manager by the US-based Society for Human Resource Management. Employment social media platform LinkedIn listed Barrientos-Carey as one of the top 100 most influential Filipinos on their site.
Good morning, Connie. Welcome to the program agenda.
Thank you so much, Cito. Thank you so much for the invite.
Well, I think the pleasure is mine, especially since I got a special request from a first-time job seeker. She had just graduated and she reached out and said, I was offered 32,000 pesos a month for, well, she's a college graduate, so I think it was a supervisor or assistant
Already?
manager.
Wow, that's pretty
well,
good.
Yeah, but I wasn't sure. I said 32,000. You're asking the wrong person, especially since I'm sending a daughter to college that is so expensive. So, diba, parang parents don't know what to do, how to gauge, etc. But before we do that, could you kindly tell us a little more about your company, your business, so that at least the viewers have an idea? Kasi I'm quite impressed that you're recognized by the US-based HR group. But
Thank you.
And you are
That took a lot of hard work, that's for sure.
I'm sure because as far as the US is concerned, while some of us would say, America lang yan, but certification and professional recognition in the US does take a lot of documentation and proving. So what about your company? Your company is called Aleph Talent Solutions.
Yes.
Medyo baka mailangan tao. Talent, ano yan? Talent agency.
No, definitely. So I started Aleph Cito in 2014 because back then when I was working as an HR manager, so that's when I shifted from executive search and headhunting. I still had clients who kept calling me, hey, we need help with recruitment, and we couldn't find someone as good as you. And they were they had a lot of complaints about recruitment agencies and headhunting companies who were not, as efficient, who were not very good with feedback, and who took long to give them candidates. It takes about 42 to 60 days to hire a new person. So within 42 to 60 days, you've already lost a lot of productivity. So for us at Aleph, we make sure that we already give quality candidates within 2 days. So that's very fast for the industry.
Okay, but are you careful, or because I don't want to throw mud at the recruiting executive search companies.
Yeah.
But I know of a few that keep recycling the horses in the stable, ika nga. Parang
I've heard of that as well. I've heard of that as well. There have been complaints about that. And we had a client who even complained that the person was weird. Like they worked with somebody who, let's say, placed a couple of people for one client. And when he had another client, he actually called back the same people he placed at that company and endorsed to the new client. Like there are situations like that.
Wow.
There are situations like that. The headhunting executive space fair is very, very competitive. And when I started Aleph, that's really, like I said, we are never going to do that. We are going to be very professional, even if, we will not hit our target goals, our target and goals for the year. I would rather suffer than do that because it would not be fair to our clients and to the people we endorse.
Okay, you said that you used the term executive search, headhunting, etc. Honestly, allergic ako sa inyo because through the years, especially when I was out of college,
I totally understand.
you always got the impression na
people,
you parang puro mga gusto niyan, mga multi-degree, mga executive, may mga kung ano-anong mga foreign training. Ay, naku, di bali na.
No. Like for executive search, it's only, it sounds very fancy, but it just basically means we're hiring people that are not in the rank and file. So managers, supervisors, niche positions. And then headhunting, the reason why we're called headhunters is we really need to find the qualified people because unfortunately, you don't get enough qualified people by just posting online. That's always been the problem. So the people that are qualified are not actually actively looking for a job. These are what we call passive candidates. And these are the people you need to reach out to. And these are the people that headhunters like myself and executive search leaders actually approach.
Okay, pero passive baka naman poacher kayo.
Well, that's a no-no for us as well. Like, my rule is if they are our client or the person works for one of our clients, we never touch them. But if a company annoyed me or is not part of our stable of clients, well, fair game.
Okay. So that's an industry practice. You're not on our client list. We don't have to respect you.
Well, basically, yes, just to be honest about it.
Okay. No, because I have heard of situations where the rule essentially is if someone's not happy and send you a resume, that's fair game. Pero kahit
If
pala
they
hindi
send you the resume, but you don't invite them. As long
Okay.
as the candidate voluntarily approached you and sent you the resume, that's fine. But you approaching them, making them send their resume, that's a different story.
Okay. So now, you were saying you don't do rank and file. So safe to say you also don't do entry level first time
We
jobs.
have entry levels. We have entry levels for a lot of our clients, but to be honest, I kind of feel sad because not a lot of clients are friendly towards fresh grads and entry level because most companies now expect people to be plug and play. So they expect you to start on day one and you already know everything, which is not fair.
Well, that is not fair because I'm actually walking through that process with my daughter who's studying abroad. Okay. And I learned internship programs in universities abroad are just totally different from internship programs
I
here.
believe so, yes. Internship here
apa-
is like exploitation because you get free labor, basically. A lot
Well,
of companies don't pay.
Thank you for saying that. I
I will probably get in trouble, but yeah, I just had to say that.
Hey, I do that for a living, get into trouble. Okay. No, but that is so true. You cannot have plug and play
Yeah, exactly.
employees if you don't have internship programs because the
Exactly.
presumption is, hello, nag-college na yan, dapat marunong na
Yes.
yan.
And the problem is, Cito, and I have been, I've been sounding like a broken record. I have been saying this again and again during DTI meetings. Like, if you want to improve the quality of our talents, improve the quality of our curriculum, because we have so much hiring and so much demand for IT talents, but we don't have the supply, which is crazy. Our comm skills, like, a lot of graduates can't even make it past the average comm skills required for most of the jobs available.
Yeah, you are so right there. Now, okay, so your clients have a problem getting fresh graduates because they are not plug and play or they don't hit the ground running
Yes.
because they don't have experience. They've never had on-the-job training, etc. Now, who actually gets hired by your kind of clients? Are your clients mostly multinational?
Yes,
What's the profile?
We have multinational companies, we have Fortune 500 companies, tech companies, and startups. A majority of them are not Filipino-based. And what I'm happy about these companies is that they actually are friendly towards people who don't have as much experience yet. And the playing field is more even. Unfortunately, and we have to be honest about it, Filipino companies tend to be nepotistic. I'm sorry, I have to say that. And
Wait a minute, Connie. Let's be clear about one thing. Here on Agenda, we don't apologize for telling the truth. So
thank you.
feel free to tell the truth because, yes, even my friends who are Filipino Chinese CEOs, even my friends who are Filipino business owners, they are the worst examples for nepotism.
Exactly. That's what I've been trying to say. And it's so difficult working with companies like this because unfortunately in companies like these, they don't exactly have a program or a policy about transparency and integrity. So you end up hiring people, friends of your friends or like children of your friends. And like, that's never really sat well with me because it's not like it's no longer about who's qualified. So it's more about who you know. It's not about what you know, which is unfair to every single person who is more qualified.
Because
That's why
what's
I like working with multinational companies.
Okay, because what's happening is, as you pointed out, there is no transparency, integrity.
Yes.
There are no internship programs, no
No.
on-the-job training.
Mm.
So people make things up or just kind of
They
go
make
to
it up as they go because they don't have a code of conduct. They don't have policies. They don't have set performance improvement plans. They don't have anything.
And in
Just
order
like-
to
yeah, you know.
to meet that requirement, they just get their sons, daughters, cousins, comares,
Friends,
compares,
anyone,
hoping that
basically
you have a relationship,
hoping for
they
the
can
best.
be
But the
trusted.
thing is, hope is not a strategy. And then they wonder what's wrong with the company, why it's not growing, why people are leaving so quickly, and they never learn. And I've
Okay.
dealt with companies like these. That's why I kind of like, I really prefer to work with multinational companies because, you know, they understand that it's important to have a code of conduct. It's important to have metrics. It's important to have key performance indicators. It's important to have to, recognize people who are actually contributing and remove people who are not. It's just basic business common sense.
Yeah, but okay, let's go for a quick break, Connie. And when we return, let's go through all the questions that we have, but also regarding the question that young lady and the first-time job seekers have in mind. But I'm already certain that we're going to do a part 2 with you, Connie, because we are so like-minded. We'll go for a quick break. We'll be right back here on Agenda.
Fresh graduates are reportedly finding out more difficult to land jobs as many of them lack soft skills and practical job skills that would have been best honed in face-to-face classes. This was among the main findings of a recent Commission on Human Rights situational report. According to this, the Employers Confederation of the Philippines noted that fresh graduates also struggled to get employed due to fierce competition in the labor market following the reopening of the economy. But as employment setups shifted after the COVID-19 lockdowns, many have realized the importance of having a work-life balance. In fact, online recruitment platform JobStreet reported that the majority of Filipinos now prefer hybrid or remote work setups. According to the poll, 46% of Filipinos said they prefer a hybrid model, while 28% favor remote work. Will this be the future of workplaces in the Philippines? That's another topic for today's agenda.
Okay, Connie, I'm going to press the rewind button. During the break, you were saying that there's a certain sector you don't like working with because they tend to undervalue the worker, the applicants, because their mentality is, I can replace you. But there's a
Exactly.
consequence to that mentality.
Exactly. Like as I mentioned earlier, Cito, like there are certain employers that have this mentality that, oh, I can replace this person within the drop of the hat, which is totally wrong. Because do remember, in order to hire, it takes around 90,000 on average pesos, okay? To put up the ads, to have somebody do the hiring. And then it takes an average of 30 to 46 days if you're lucky to get a person hired, and then you have to wait 6 months before the person actually gets skilled enough for the position. So that mentality really costs a lot, and I would rather like invest in employee retention than new employee acquisition, because it costs less to retain a good employee. And unfortunately, salary raises on average across the globe is 2.7%. The budget for hiring is actually higher. So if you want to get a higher pay, you are better off changing jobs, because on average, you get an increase of 20 to 30%.
Can you, wow, alam mo, Math 11 take 7 ako, Connie.
Likewise.
So, can you?
So it's like Chito, you have a better opportunity of getting an increase, a salary increase, when you change jobs or when you go to another company, as opposed to waiting for a salary increase that is only 2 to 7%.
Globally.
Globally, yes.
What about locally?
Locally, you're lucky if you get at least 3%. And I'm glad that locally, especially for multinational companies, they actually adhere to the 20-30%.
Okay, but how often should you change jobs? Because I had a cousin, medyo bad news siya. Sabi ko, I
Yeah.
would not touch you. I would not endorse you because you change jobs worse than you change underwear. He was, seriously, this joker was changing jobs every 3 to 6 months. I said, one look at your resume, you're dead meat.
That is true. Like, you also don't change jobs every 6 months or every year. That's crazy. Change jobs only when you're confident that you already develop all the skills necessary and you're highly qualified to demand the pay you want. Okay? You could not demand a pay you did not merit. I always say this to everyone. You cannot be high maintenance if you're not high performance. Okay,
I'm going to use that for my daily starter.
You cannot at all. I think I've said this so many times, you cannot demand a Maserati for the price of a Toyota. There's just no way.
Mhm.
Okay, you have to deserve it. So if you're highly qualified and you can have a list of your accomplishments, by all means, you can negotiate. You deserve a higher pay. But if you're still learning and you're not quite there yet, maybe take a break from trying to get a higher pay.
Well, on the average, okay, how often would it be a smart transition period be?
Between jobs, I would say definitely 2 years, Ito. It's 2 years because by then the company already recouped its expenses and investment on you as an employee, and by then you have already developed all the skills and you could already consider yourself a subject matter expert.
Okay, now going back to the question of that young lady, first time job, graduate from University of the Philippines, I believe,
Wow.
or Ateneo. I can't remember, but she graduated with high grades. Clearly, very impressive. Good communicator. She was offered 32,000.
For a fresh grad, that's actually very good. That is, for fresh grads, you're lucky if you're even offered 15 to 16. That's a livable wage. I don't like companies that pay just the minimum wage, especially for specialized skills, because for me, I find that exploitative. Okay? Minimum wage, basically, the minimum you need to live. All right. And I've always been a proponent of paying people a livable wage, because giving them livable wages means they have money to spend, which means we have a robust economy.
So in Metro Manila, what would that be? Including,
In Metro Manila, given
traveling,
your expenses and your commute, if a fresh graduate, please do not accept less than 20,000. That would be more than enough for toll fees and gas if you have, and commute if you have to go to an office. But if it's home based, if it's remote, then by all means 16 to 18 should be fine. But below that, that would not be fair to you. That would be rather exploitative. I mean, we're all for, like, we understand, a fresh grad, but also you have to understand this fresh grad also did her OJT or intern work when she was in college. And it's your job as an employer to train them properly. You do not expect them to know everything by the time they start.
Okay, how does one go about talking about compensation and benefits if you're just a fresh grad? I mean, ang culture natin kasi
Mahiyain, yes, like
mahiyain on one side.
That's for everyone, Cito. I think whether fresh grads or not fresh grads, people seem to veer away from the discussion of salary negotiation, and people think that it's okay to just accept what's there, because it would be rude to not accept what's there. That is incorrect. You can negotiate. You have every right to negotiate. If the company that you're negotiating with says no, then you will find another company that will be more than willing to pay you what you ask for, as long as you deserve it.
You said 20,000 would be reasonable, livable wage.
Given for Manila, especially with how expensive everything is there, and
but 20,000 plus what, Connie?
Like 20,000, is actually okay. If we start with the basic, 20,000 is okay. So a lot of companies would do that as 15,000 base pay plus 5,000 allowances. And BIR now taxes allowances. Back in the day, we called them non-taxable allowances. So people ended up taking more, but they're taxed now as well. So you can do with 15K basic plus allowance, or 18K basic plus 2,000 allowance. That should work.
Okay, now, but other benefits like
benefits. If a company wants to hire good people, I would suggest please have a good HMO, health maintenance organization, in place, because that's the first thing people ask for, especially our managers or higher level employees, and even like fresh grads, especially if they have a family member who really needs healthcare. I've noticed that there is a trend where, like, when we interview people, the first question is, "Ma'am, does the company provide healthcare? Does the company provide health insurance?" So health insurance would be good. But health insurance can be expensive. So the only companies that can afford these are maybe the bigger companies, or bigger SMEs, MSMEs. So so medium-sized companies that can afford it. Not so for the smaller companies, it might be iffy. So if you want healthcare, go for the bigger companies.
Okay, now as far as training, futures, because when I talk to kids now or fresh grads, they're sharp. They've been trained well in terms of expectations, and apparently learning, training opportunities and travel can be a deal breaker. Is that reasonable?
That is actually reasonable, because we can't expect everybody to have the same needs. So for someone, maybe the person prefers a higher take-home pay at the end of the day. That's fine. There are people who prefer a better package, including insurances, and that's fine. That's why it would be better, for some companies, the bigger ones who can afford flex benefits or total benefits that are different per employee, because not everyone has the same needs. There are people, for example, like me, I like training, I like travel. So if somebody can give me that, I'd go and take it. It really depends on the person. And that already tells you what kind of culture you want to belong to. So at least you know what kind of company you want to apply for. And there are companies that provide that. So if the person wants travel and learning, so there are bigger companies multinational companies, I can guarantee that they provide that. So if a person wants that, so the only option is for that person to go to a multinational company. Although I have to admit, competition is going to be quite stiff.
Okay, you're almost like a talent. I don't know if the right word is talent manager. I mean, like for professional players,
That's correct.
etc. You're almost like that. Okay, now what are the things you teach people when they're there in the negotiation? Because how do you even tell if a job is a dead end job? It's like, okay, they're paying you, great salary, but you're going to be stuck there for the next 3 years or something.
Like, I would really suggest to people who are applying for jobs to research the company, ask about the culture. That's why during the interview, please do not hesitate to ask questions, particularly about the company culture. So remember,
can you ask? Is
yeah,
the
you
person?
have every right. Like, what's the company culture like? You can even ask, like, may I ask why the last person left?
Yeah, or is the last person still alive?
Yeah. So you can ask these questions, and it really saddens me that people think they can't ask these questions. Like, do remember that your entire work life, like 8 years of your life, every day depends on this. So please ask that. Our philosophy at Aleph is that if we do not, if our values do not align with a client or somebody who wants to be a client, we don't take them. We don't endorse to them, because at the end of the day, it's our name, and we also worry about the people we endorse.
Mm-hmm.
So we'd rather endorse people to companies that we know they'll be happy at.
Okay, but do you do an interview of the employer as well?
Yes, we ask them, and I'm very particular about that. I ask them about compensation and benefits, about their company culture. I ask about the company stability, because the last thing we want is for our endorsements or our talents to not have a job in the next 6 months because, the company folded. So we do due diligence with our clients.
Okay, that's good to know. Now, what else should the first-time job seeker have in mind? Because forgive me, I'm interviewing you, but I can't help sharing this story after what you've said. I actually applied for a job at the U.S. Embassy with a friend. Together, we were called in. They were offering me a broadcast position, and they were offering my friend a journalist position. And I just casually said, may I point out that I'm the journalist and he's the broadcaster? Well, I didn't get the job. He did.
Well, that's definitely not your fault. Like, there are, like, here's the thing. Everybody has to remember that at the end of the day, especially if you have an interviewer involved, it will be subjective. So that's what I always tell our candidates, especially if they're applying for a BPO. Make sure you do not go in at between 12 noon to 1 p.m. because the interviewer can tend to get hungry and get, really cranky at that time. And I've seen this, and I've heard so many cases of, interviewers just dropping applicants because they didn't feel like it. They didn't feel like passing the applicant because they were not, feeling good at that time. So it's also about timing. And like when you pointed that out, Cito, I feel that the interviewer took offense.
Yeah.
And took offense.
Hey, this guy is a nonconformist. This guy is too much of an independent thinker.
Like he would think like, this person will give me a problem if I hire him because he's very vocal.
Yeah, but then I brought that up for the sake of our young job seekers. Do not feel bad or get bad get bad on yourself, get down on yourself, because if you feel you have to say something, say it.
You have
through the years.
You really have to, because like at the end of the day, you will have to advocate for yourself. Nobody else will. You would be lucky if you have a manager who campaigns for you. It's like, oh, this is a very good talent, please give him a raise. But not everyone gets lucky to have a mentor like that or to have a manager like that. That's the reason why we have too many, is this even allowed on air, too many asshole managers, because they were not mentored before. And they, they pass that sort of treatment to the people that they're managing, which is incorrect. I hate it when people go, I suffered before, oh, so this other, the new breed should suffer as well. That just shows what kind of person you are. So like, that's not the kind of manager like you should have or you should be. And so people should really advocate for themselves. If you want to raise, negotiate it, list down all your accomplishments, list down all your contributions, and then negotiate. Don't just go to the negotiation table without nothing, with nothing, because you will not get anything.
Or better yet, tell them what you can bring to the job or how you can improve things.
Exactly. And I would like to suggest to our fresh grads, and if you can learn Excel skills and practice on it, and your presentation skills with PowerPoint, do Canva, practice on that, make yourselves experts on that, because people would love you, employers would love you, and you can have more on the negotiating table if you have all of that. Because I've seen it, not a lot of people know how to use Excel, unfortunately. Not a lot of people can present properly, and it's really frustrating.
Yeah, don't ask for an office job if you can't operate the computer.
Exactly.
I learned that the hard way. Anyway, Connie, my question, next question has to do with how long can I, hunt for the prey or the job? Because it's like, okay, this one's offering me something, but it's not the kind of compensation, or it's not the company or field I want to be in. How long should a prospector wait?
Like, if you're not getting the offer you want within 60 days, especially if you're weighing things, if you already have an offer and you want a different offer, wait at least 30 days to 60 days. Wait for that. But if beyond that you're not getting anything, time to check the offer that was given to you. Eventually another offer will come, especially in this economic climate, in the kind of job market we have. Give yourself 60 days. And then as well, if it also depends on the person. If you have bills to pay, I don't think you can wait 60 days. So take what's given to you. But again, don't just take it without negotiating. Try to negotiate given on your skills, given the skills that you have. So that's why please make an inventory of what you can do. List them down.
What about pressure? Yeah. What about pressure cooker offers? There are HR.
I really don't like them. That's not fair to candidates. It's horrible. And you know who does the pressure cooker offers all the time? A lot of headhunters. And that's why I don't really like that, because they do the pressure cooker offers because they're looking, for the payday. It's like, you have to remember, it's not fair to the person who is applying for the job. It's not fair for the person who is offering it, the employer, because eventually, what if the candidate is unhappy? So within 6 months, the person resigns and they have to start from scratch. If, a company pressures you to accept the offer, then it's a red flag.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
This is how I always explain it. Hiring or recruitment is like dating. Okay. You don't get aggressive about it. All right. And the people that you want are normally just sitting on the side, not getting aggressive, because, the aggressive people tend to have very limited resources. Maybe they're not good looking. They're not smart. They're not articulate. So it's the same for recruitment or hiring. So if the company is pressuring you to accept the offer, red flag. Find something else. If they're already pressuring you to accept the offer, imagine how much pressure you will have when you start working for them.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, what else? What are the other red flags? Because I've been on a number of negotiating tables in my younger days, and they can be such smooth talkers.
Definitely.
And then you find out that they were
different when you start.
Yeah, they're the boss from hell.
Exactly. And, that's why I always research. Never neglect research. Research on Glassdoor. Glassdoor is a website, Cito, that you can check comments from former employees. And you can also check JobStreet. I believe that they also have that feature now where you can check comments from previous employees as well. If you know people who have worked for that company, ask them. As I've mentioned, ask questions. Ask what the turnover rate is, how often people leave.
You're referring to a website that's global. Is there a local website?
It's local. You actually have local companies on Glassdoor as well. So, and JobStreet does that.
JobStreet. Yeah. So there are people who will tell you, yeah, the owner of that company is the twin brother of Lucifer.
Exactly. Like, and I've seen comments like that, like, don't ever go to this company, etc., and gets rated. And I'm glad that that's available now, because back in our day, I think, Cito, we would never have something like that. We'd go into things blindly and, like, too late before we find out that it's a horrible company.
Yeah, what do you do then? It's like you went to the table, met with HR. The people in HR were beautiful people, nice, kind, and then you discover that they withheld information about the CEO or the managers being the spawn of the devil.
You have every right to decline a job offer.
No, you're already employed.
You're already there. You're already employed. Well, honestly, my thing is, if you're not happy, leave. And it won't be, there's no such thing as a breach of contract, especially if you started, you're a probationary employee, so you can leave whenever you want. So that's fine. But render 30 days. Because if you don't render 30 days, the employer might sue you for damages because you did not do the proper turnover. There might have things, that went missing because you didn't do the proper turnover. So just be very careful about that. And this is what I've noticed. There's a trend where employers would ask you or ask an employee to stay 60 to 90 days. That is illegal. According to DOLE, you are only required to do 30 days. It's not your job to find your replacement. Okay? So if your employer tells you, you have to stay and find your replacement. No, that is the recruiter's job to find your replacement. You just need to do the proper notice period, and you have to turn over whatever it is you are supposed to turn over. Do remember, this is employment, not indentured slavery.
Okay, so deal breaker if your employer or the executive is someone who curses people, who uses PI, FUs,
I think that
etc.
there's a lot of that in Filipino companies. We've seen that a lot.
Yeah. And you can just leave, right? And file notice with the Department of Labor.
Like, nobody should have to subject themselves to that kind of treatment. That is workplace bullying. And you know what I've noticed, Cito? People think behavior like that is okay because it's typical in our country. It is not. It's workplace bullying. And I believe there's already a bill filed for safe spaces at work. So you don't have to subject yourself to this kind of treatment. There's you respect yourself as a person. There's dignity as a person. So respect that. There's no amount of salary can pay for that.
Okay, so last words. Last advice for this morning, because I am going to be hounding you to guest here again.
I would love to. Thank you, Cito. So my advice is definitely know your worth. Have self-awareness, be self-aware enough to know what you can offer, what you have to offer, make an inventory of them, and have a realistic expectation of salary that you're supposed to get. And you will not get, the perfect job or the perfect boss on your first try. So it's okay to try again until you get what you deserve and what you want.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Cito.
Okay. God bless. Okay. That is Connie Barrientos-Carey, President, Aleph Talent Solutions, HRM Certified Manager. That was a great interview, and I do hope that all of you learned something from today's program. Let's now go to our blessing for the week from the book of Isaiah, chapter 58, verse 10. This is a reminder: if you want God's blessings, feed the hungry, help those in trouble, then your light will shine out from the darkness, and the darkness around you will be as bright as noon. I believe this so much. Please continue praying. Include Team Agenda in your prayers, and please keep it here on One News. Thank you.